Nothing gets people more wound up these days than the ethnicity of actors playing real life historical figures or personalities from novels like Shakespeare or Dickens. Beats me why people get so wound up, but they do. And now there's an enormous row over Queen Cleopatra, the new drama documentary series from Netflix, in which the lead role is played by the excellent British actor Adele James. All of this has led to a very polarised and I think pretty silly argument about the ethnicity of Cleopatra. Was she Greek? Was she African? Etc., etc. And of course, what happens is that we end up imposing today's identity politics back 2,000, 3,000 years, something that people at the time simply wouldn't have known what the hell we were talking about. One of the things that poisons the debate on Cleopatra is our relatively modern idea, going back, let's say, 1,500 years, of the Mediterranean being, if you want, two worlds. That on the southern coast it's Muslim, on the northern coast it's Christian, one side Africa, the other side Europe. What I think you have to try and understand is that in the ancient world, the Mediterranean was, if you want, one world, crisscrossed all the time because of trade, war, and politics. Egypt was part of one big Mediterranean world. Now, Alexander the Great died at a relatively young age, and his empire was divided between his generals, and a general called Ptolemy became the first Macedonian pharaoh of Egypt, the Ptolemaic pharaohs, as they're called. And there was one pharaoh after another called Ptolemy. Now, the bloodline of these Greco-Egyptian pharaohs was reputed to be pure and Macedonian, but in reality, the pharaohs were basically knocking off their concubines who might have come from any number of places, including modern Sudan, Libya, Algeria, Lebanon, and of course, Greece itself. 250 years into the Ptolemaic dynasty, we get Cleopatra, Cleopatra the Seventh, to be exact. Now, the whole argument about the Netflix series is whether or not she is pure Macedonian. It's doubtful that she was. By this stage, she's almost certainly going to have been part Egyptian. Some believe she may even have been half Egyptian, that her mother was Egyptian. Cleopatra, like the former Ptolemaic rulers, went out of her way to respect local Egyptian culture, tradition, and religion, depicting herself as a pharaoh. She also seems to have been able to speak the local Egyptian tongue. Now, this isn't surprising because by this stage she was almost undoubtedly part Egyptian. So then we arrive at our very modern and poisonous so-called culture wars. On one side of this argument, we have people saying, no, Cleopatra was 100% Macedonian, some even saying that she was blonde and blue-eyed. On the other side, we have those saying, no, we must have an Afrocentric view of Egyptian history. She was black, she was a black African woman. In Egypt, this provokes a lot of heated debate. Some modern Egyptians feeling that there is a narrative that they are not real Egyptians, that they have somehow de-Africanized Egypt. So this gets them very, very hot under the collar. What is beyond doubt is that in the past, Hollywood has undoubtedly depicted ancient Egypt and, in fact, the Middle East in very white terms. The African, the Arab voices and faces have been excluded. I mean, there are plenty of I'd almost say hilarious examples of Hollywood depicting ancient history with white, blonde, blue-eyed people. So it's easy to see why those of African and Middle Eastern descent want their say, want their faces on screen. On balance, my message to Adele James is just to ignore the critics. Go ahead and portray Cleopatra. I'm sure you're going to make a great job of it. And just ignore those racist trolls who I know have come onto your Twitter account and said some pretty disgusting things. The debate about Cleopatra's ethnicity, well, that's going to continue, isn't it, for a long, long time. But the debate has to be grounded in real history, not make-believe, not in people feeling happy or warm and fuzzy, but thinking about who Cleopatra really was. Hopefully at some point when these culture wars are over, when we're better human beings, we can have a proper discussion about the real Cleopatra.